What's going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. It looks like a good day to get outside, right? No point in being inside of the office the whole day. We got the Q show live streaming tonight, so that should be pretty awesome. But I want you guys to really start dialing into the things that's meaningful. Meaning that I don't want you to only be focused on things that's not relevant or things that you have control on. All of these government elected officials, which means that they're chosen by you, depend on you and your emotions in order to get elected. They know that you're not reading no policies. They know that you're not paying attention to exactly what's being implemented with the migrant crisis until it's already too late, right? You got all of these governors and officials that's making decisions on your behalf. They don't even have to worry about going through city council or aldermen anymore because it's checks and balances. But as long as they designate it as an emergency or a migrant crisis or crisis in general, it gives them basically autonomy to be able to manage the city finances how they see fit. Now, again, they're dependent on your emotions to control you. So for example, I had a conversation on Yuck Mouth's platform. Shout out to Yuck Mouth TV. I had a conversation on Yuck Mouth's platform on Sunday morning, and people were applauding Governor Gavin Newsom, even though they know that he's the worst thing for California right now. Taxes is high, migrant crisis is crazy. I just did a show this morning where they're basically coming in through Arizona and California now that Texas has completely shut off its borders with razor wire and everything like that, finding out how to get over there through TikTok. And then they're leaning on these states in order to get over to the United States of America and basically getting free rides and bus passes over into wherever it is that they want to go. Now, they asked them where they wanted to go, and they said Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Minneapolis, all of these places that basically designate themselves as sanctuary cities. And it's interesting because when I was having a conversation with Yuck Mouth and another gentleman, then one of the other gentlemen said that he supports Gavin Newsom based off of the fact that he's willing to let prisoners out of prison, right? But that's something that we can control, largely. We could determine whether or not we do crime and then have to pay the price for doing that crime. We can determine whether or not we put our Johnson in something that then determines whether or not you have to have an abortion. We can determine the overwhelming majority of the things that they lean on you in order to control you emotionally, but they depend on that because they know that they don't have to then petition for your vote over something that's really meaningful, like policy, like the ability to lower costs, education, social services, all of the things that would impact you on a daily basis. They don't have to worry about that because they can play on your emotions, which means that they already got your vote locked in. Think about it. All your life, especially black people, you was taught not to look at the candidate, not to look at the policies, not to look at what they stand for, but focus more on whether or not they Democrat or Republican, because Democrats was for the middle class and poor people, but Republicans was for rich people. Now, how do we tie all of this in, right? Because again, I'm paying attention to the migrant crisis. I've been covered on the Millionaire Morning Show every single day for over a year and a half now. Actually, it's been a little bit over a year and a half, but we've been covering it every single day. We're paying attention to all of these crooked politicians, large cities, small cities, Chicago, New York, Dalton, everywhere. Atlanta, we know what's happening with Fannie Willis. The Atlanta mayor is supporting her regardless of the fact that we just found out that a whole bunch of text messages confirmed that she was already in a relationship and that we have ethical problems with who it is that she's paying, busting it down for a real one. But then you ain't got to worry about reparations. And I've always largely been against reparations because it's almost like I don't care. I'm not going to stake my success on the federal government giving you something that would then inflate the cost of doing business and lower the value of the dollar. And then I'm going to see a whole bunch of Escalades that's parked on your mama's lawn just because you feel like it was owed to you. I'm not going to spend my time on that. I'm going to spend my time on the thing that benefits me the most. And that's going to get me rich right now and change the trajectory of my daughter's life. Because what you're seeing, and this is the thing that I absolutely disagree, or I agree with people that's on the side of reparations, but I disagree with the federal government, is they finding money for the things that's meaningful for them. immigrants, illegal immigrants, not asylum seekers, not people that's truly trying to level up when it comes to their finances and resources, people that are benefiting off of the fact that we got open borders. Countries have largely been rumored to be dumping their worst over here, and people are now starting to wake up now that it's too late, and you got tens of millions of illegal immigrants into this country, and then these cities are spending, and the federal government is spending billions of dollars every single year in order to house them, feed them, clothe them, give them health care coverage, send them to school, the whole 9 yards, right? And then you start to ask yourself the question, well, who's getting rich as a result of this? Who's really the beneficiaries of this migrant crisis? Well, we could debate that. One thing that we know for sure is it ain't you. It certainly ain't the people that's been begging. I ain't even saying asking, begging for reparations. Listen, California spent more time commissioning studies of reparations than they did actually trying to do anything for you. Yet, they continue to allocate more money in their budget for social services that largely benefit people that don't even look like you. Chicago is commissioning studies in order to study reparations, but they're not giving you anything. Listen, we may disagree on the reparations, but the one thing that we don't disagree on is the fact that it shouldn't be going to them. So I'd rather it go to you than it go to them. It don't even have to come to me. I'm largely of the opinion that if you get it, you get it. You don't, you don't. I don't really care. I'm not going to depend on it. But I don't think it should go to them. But they allocate millions and billions of dollars every single day, every single month. At one point, it was estimated that Chicago was spending over $30 million a month. That's over $1 million a day supporting the migrant crisis. It's largely been estimated that New York last year in 2023 spent over $1.5 billion in adjusting for and making accommodations, luxury hotels, healthcare coverage, schools. They defunding the police, largely underfunding sanitation, schools, but they make sure that they taking care of y'all in the migrant crisis, ain't they? And so you got to ask the question, who is it benefiting who? You know, the one thing that I realize about our people is that we largely are a Me Too people. And I said that when it came to investments. I was talking about it a little bit yesterday when it came to the Midwest and what cities I thought that was going to be next on the rise. We always a Me Too. By the time we figure it out, even though it's right there in front of our face, it's already too late. We done lost. And it's the same thing that's happening with this migrant crisis. Ain't nothing changed. By the time you start figuring it out and you starting to get these people out of office, or you even start to even consider voting differently, they already done did what it is that they wanted to do. And they know that you are Me Too people. They know you ain't checking for nothing. They know you ain't doing nothing. They know that you don't stand for nothing. All you gonna do is beg. You don't vote. You got a less than 8% voter turnout rate in Houston, and even worse in other urban cities. That's just because Houston has so much corruption and it had water problems that people then got so fed up that they felt like they had to get the guy out of office. We know that you're going to keep getting distracted by things that's not actually beneficial to you. We know that you're going to vote a certain way already, so it don't really matter, right? It don't matter how open they leave the borders or how much you get in finesse. We know that you're going to vote not necessarily based off of the policy, but based off of how you feel about a certain person. You're not voting for the person that you're voting for. You're voting against somebody that you don't necessarily like. And like I said, by the time that we figure it out, it's already too late. But I know one thing is for sure and two things is for certain. Ain't nothing ever gonna change until you change it within yourself. We gotta become more educated. We have to become more knowledgeable. We need to become more familiar and spend the majority of our time, or at least have some balance. I like the fuck shit too. I like the entertainment too. But I also like being educated and informed on things that's happening, especially that's in my own community. It's more important, even if you don't like the national election, it's more important for you to vote with what's going on in your own city, the villages, your city council, your alderman. Don't you know that when they allocate things as an emergency or as a crisis, they have full autonomy to do what they want to do with the money, your money, that you paying tax dollars into the rolls? Don't you know that it's not just what happens to Chicago or Denver or Atlanta or Boston or New York or Minneapolis or San Diego or any of these cities in Texas, as far as the migrant crisis, it's not just them. When they petition for federal dollars, they petition it for your money too. And then when they get tired of filling up them cities, where you think that they gonna go? I'm telling you, man, y'all gotta start paying attention. Y'all gotta start becoming more informed, and y'all gotta start participating in the process. Otherwise, what do you think is gonna happen? More of what we already had, and that's not beneficial for us either. Listen, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to tap in. Make sure you tap into the Q Show tonight. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I got a new channel coming. We already rebranding it. Actually, it's a channel that I already own, but you know what we do. We don't let nothing lay dormant for long. We got to utilize every resource in our benefit. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.